There are some sites that I would come up to and you would get that feeling sometimes of trepidation, a sort of a dark sort of feeling, but thankfully this is not one of them. This is one of the most sort of magical, sort of mystical, spiritual sites that I've ever been to. What's unusual about this site is it's set up on a drumlin here and it has links to Cornishee, but yet it's very sort of secretive in some way. And yet we're only really about 6 or 7 minutes walk into the Lisnaskea town centre. Now where are we here? We're at Sheebeg Henge, as I say, just outside Lisnaskea. And the one common denominator for all henges is, and there's about 3 different types of henge, is that you have a large circular bank, you have an internal ditch, and then you have a flat sort of surface here, almost like an island this is. This internal ditch is called a fosse. It originally comes from the Latin word and then into Old French, and it's a bit like, it's similarities to a moat. And now you usually get moats on the outside of castles and they're full of water and they tend to be defensive sort of structures. This one here is inside this ditch. And the purpose I think this has is that it actually drains the water away and stops this lovely central platform from getting flooded. I've come up here on numerous occasions during the winter and I have seen water in this fosse, but I have never seen this platform flooded. So that's the purpose of that. So as I say, henges were not thought to be defensive. There's no evidence of them being defensive sort of in any way. So this place would have been seen as some sort of special place, rituals, ceremonies, celebrations, and there's an aura in this place when you come up. If you come in here to this central space here, circles are not unfamiliar in prehistoric and even going into the medieval times. So you've got ring cairns, you've got stone circles, even up at Cornishee you have a large circular enclosure. Inside that you've got a cairn which is circular. In County Fermanagh, which is the Lakeland county, we are very lucky to have numerous crannogs which tend to be circular. We have raths, fairy forts, cashels, any amount of them as well. We're very, very lucky in that aspect. And they're all circular. Even rock art, you know, cup and ring marks are circular. Even the famous triple spiral, circular. So it's like this is a sacred space. It's like the circle of life. You're in the eye of the beholder. And what would have went on here is it's nearly like an amphitheater here. It's you know, there would have been celebrations here probably, maybe performances, births, marriages, all sorts of stuff. We also have a Bronze Age believed to be barrow about 50 metres over here. So what we have here behind me here is believed to be a Bronze Age barrow site. It's never been excavated, so we can't be conclusive in relation to that. And basically the difference between a barrow and a cairn is that barrows tend to be mainly soil with maybe a little bit of stone, whereas cairns tend to be stone with maybe a little bit of soil. You may notice in this barrow, it's referred to as a bowl barrow, and basically the reason for that is it's shaped like a bowl turned upside down. You may notice, as I say, there seems to be a large chunk of it has been taken out of it. sort of in the middle there. And they think that somebody who farmed this area a couple of generations ago may have done that, but I'm not so sure about that. So that is the Bronze Age barrow here, about 50 metres from Sheebeg Henge. This circular platform is around about 110 metres in circumference. There is over here to my left, sort of behind me, you can see there's an entrance there. Now, if that's prehistoric or maybe more modern, it's very hard to say. So it's absolutely beautiful site. Henges were also have been used as, you know, stone circles maybe inside this henge here going round it, or wooden circles. This has never been excavated archaeologically. There could have been wooden posts here, but we don't know. But what I will do is I will show you something that may throw up some new evidence that there may have been a stone circle in here. I noticed these a couple of years ago when I come up this sort of what I call like the back entrance up to Sheebeg Henge. And what we have here, you can see here quite clearly, we have two quite big megaliths here. We have another one here. That's three. There's one over here, I believe, that's sort of partially broken. It's four. There's one up round here as well, being used on the gate post on the right hand side, which is split in two. We possibly have a sixth one here on this gate post here, on this gate, and there may be two just round the corner here being used as gate posts as well. Now, it's not unusual for standing stones, stones from stone circles, even curb stones to be repurposed. But what I do know for certain is that these aren't gate posts. They're not what we would call like proper gate posts. You can see by the shape of them, it's irregular. And what's interesting as well about this stone here is some people have a belief, you can see the way it's going angled up like that there. Some people believe that these stones were maybe used to actually look up that angle towards the celestial bodies in the sky. Now, because obviously they're not in situ, it's completely impossible to say if this was a stone circle up on that henge. But it is not out of the question, and unless that henge, that central platform, was in some way researched further, excavated to see was there any evidence of sockets in that central platform, we will obviously never know. But I think it is interesting to see them here. They are close to the henge, and as I say, the one thing they are definitely not is gate posts. In relation to that stone circle, the wooden circle, there is some thoughts that these may have been used for, in some ways, a calendrical type thing, an astronomical thing, where the seasons, of course, are very, very important in prehistoric culture and society. Farming is the main industry in the county here as it is, and it's so important. But of course, back then it was probably more important, as important or more important probably, because you couldn't go down the shop and buy something, and you didn't have a calendar to look at. So astronomically, they may have been looking at the skies, the sun, the moon, the stars, to work out the seasons, when to plant seeds, when to cultivate seeds, when to harvest crops, when to store crops, when to put livestock out, when to take them in. This was so important. We know that in Ireland there are numerous alignments in certain sites in Lough Crew and Brunaboyne and Newgrange and places like that. and the expertise that people had back then was, you know, it's literally mind-blowing. So a beautiful, beautiful site. When I bring people up here, which I do occasionally, people who come over that large circular bank, one of the first things they invariably do is they go, wow. And that's kind of, in some way, that's my job done. And also, when I bring people up here, I tell them, you need to keep nice and quiet, because we do not want to disturb the fairies. Now, Sheebeg, Cornish she, the word she has connotations of underworld mound, underground mound, but it also has links to the fairies. This site is beautiful all the year round, but it's very, very, I always feel at this time of year, because what we have here is we have lovely spread of bluebells. You have lovely flora, fauna, nature up here, and the circular feel to this site is what I think gives it that wow factor. And then we have these added little bluebells, and they have a rich history. The sticky sap from their stem was used to stick feathers to arrows in the Bronze Age. They're very much a British Isles type species, thought to have come in after the Ice Age. And of course, they have some folklore associated with them. And of course, fairies again are prevalent in that folklore. Just one small snippet about the bluebells in relation to that is, do not walk, so tread very, very carefully on bluebells, because if you walk on them, you anger and you hurt the fairies and the spirits that live within this Sheebeg Henge. This site is probably Neolithic, going into the Bronze Age, so you've been very, very welcome to come in to this sacred space, Sheebeg Henge, Lisnaskea, County Fermanagh, Ireland.